started a live feed and sat here and just didn't say anything. I saw that there was a guy that did that for like 15 hours and got like millions and millions and millions of views. Just curious. Just curious what that would look like. Just like do a live stream, just 1 hour, just me not saying anything. That's gonna fucking happen. Let's see who's the first person to show up this morning. I'm gonna watch. As soon as you guys leave, I got some paperwork to do. I have yet to get any of these companies to respond to me about information requested for that bid. And it's been a minute and there's no one here, so looks like this is gonna be one of those Fridays where I wind up just talking to myself. So we shall see. Sometimes these live feeds don't work out the way I expect them to. So a lot of times what happens is people are watching and then I don't see the subscriber count, and there's a lot of times YouTube's got some issues with, and I'm not sure if it's YouTube itself or it's the interface between the phone, between the Apple device and YouTube, but there's a lot of times that I will get these and then there's just no comments. So who's here? 2 people here. Who has arrived? 2 people, 2 likes. I like that. Who's here? Come on. I'm gonna tell you guys the story about Mr. Broccoli Head. Nick Martino. My friend Matthew's not brother. It's not my friend Matthew's brother. However, you say it. See, now it tells me there's no one here. Are you still here, Nick? Or is my feed all screwed up? Well, we'll see. I have this problem from time to time, and a lot of times what I have to do is, see, it tells me, it says there's no one here. And I get these weird, the numbers and all that stuff don't match up. It's weird. And those are usually the ones that people complain, is like, hey, I saw your feed and I couldn't get in. It kept kicking me out, and that's usually what happens. So somebody the other day, for the cuckoo clock, Jim K. Well, hello, Michael. I just got out of the shower. I'm still getting dressed. I was putting on my socks, buckling my belt. Somebody the other day on the July giveaway asked the question, what's the story with the broccoli head? Well, it's the story with a lot of the stuff that sits at that top part of my workbench. This was a gift from one of you guys, the subscribers. One of the subscribers sent me this. I had posted something on Instagram. And I was like, can you believe this is an actual thing? I want this so bad. And one of you guys reached out and said, hey, I need your address. I got something I want to send you. And this is what showed up. I have another gift that's coming. The only reason that I don't bring it up and say it is because there's people that just don't. It gave me 2, like, you disliked it once, so you could like it again. There are some of my subscribers that don't like to be called out. I actually have several of them that have given me things, and I say, yeah, you can mention that someone gave you something, so that, but just don't mention me. I don't want the attention. So that was one of them. I have a knife that's coming that was a gift from a subscriber that says, hey, I'm sending you a gift. You're going to get a package from Knife Center. I don't know what's coming, but they were like, yeah, you don't have to, please, you can say somebody gave you a gift, you don't have to, I don't want my name out there. And I was like, okay. So I have gotten things from you guys before, but before we go any further, there's 5 of you guys here. What's in your pocket? What's in your pocket? I'll show you. Show me yours, I'll show you mine. My Archie. I haven't carried this in a while. It was part of a video that I did yesterday, and I was like, man, why don't I carry this? So this wound up staying out and is in my pocket, along with my Ultramar Street. I'm trying something with the lights, guys. I'm not sure how this is gonna work out because it is hot in here because the air's not moving. I only have the garage door partway open, but it doesn't seem to be as overpoweringly bright where you get like so much light on one side. No, I've got to go get coffee. Coffee, 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 coffee. There have been things going on, but unfortunately this workbench is way more empty than I'd like to see it. So if you guys need sharpening, like I said, I am back open. And the other thing too is if you know somebody that's got some knives that are kind of wrecked, let them know, you know, hey, I know a guy that can fix these. I had someone specifically tell me one time, well, why would I send my knives off to somebody to get them sharpened? And then met this individual and let them feel one of my knives. And he was like, well, I sharpen my own knives. And I felt these knives. I was like, if that's how you like them. And he goes, well, what do you mean? And I was like, here. And I handed him the knife I had in my pocket. And he was like, oh, wow. He was trying to cut. Like he's like, yeah, it has problems with some things. And I was like, you have problems with cardboard? He goes, yeah, but who doesn't? And I was like, this knife. And takes it, I think it was my 940. And he took it and he was like, oh, wow. Well, apparently I've been doing it wrong, and has been a loyal return customer for months and months and months and months. I sharpen his wife's kitchen knives for him pretty regular. Because I told him, I was like, a sharp knife is a safe knife. You don't have to push as hard and things like that. I don't know how my wife does this. It doesn't take up any less space in the refrigerator. It's possible. That's a possibility. One of the other things I would say you could look at is changing the edge angle. The Yojimbo is a pretty thin knife. You could go with a steeper angle to prevent some of the chipping. But historically, there are steels that Spyderco uses that I don't think should chip that do. I had an Anthem in, and you know those are in 20 CV, and it was chipping, and I was like, I've never had 20 CV chip like that. Like, it was just chippy, and I was like, it has to 100% has to be something to do with the mass production heat treat. And I mean, I know that happens. There's other companies that have had issues with it, but I just think that other companies handle the QC part of it a little bit better, where less of those knives that are like that make it to market. I think it's a combination of a couple things with Spyderco. I have not been happy with Spyderco's quality at all for several years now. And like I said, people think I'm just bagging on them. I actually used to love Spyderco. The Endura was one of my all-time favorite knives. And I suppose I should buy an Endura in VG10 because those were always my favorite, because my one that I have right now just won't hold an edge. And I guarantee it was something with Spyderco's heat treat. And that's that one that's in the ZDP 189, which in other companies historically has been amazing. And for Spyderco, I can't get it to do anything. Rockstead does ZDP 189 and it comes out insane. Spyderco's ZDP 189 just doesn't seem to do anything. Allow me to turn this TV off. I gotta figure out where I left the remote. I sat out here and watched TV till like midnight while reading emails. If it got burnt, if the edge on it got burnt, I would say that stropping it's not going to do anything. You are going to have to sharpen it, and it's probably going to have to be an aggressive sharpen to get past the damaged area. But then again, like I said, it could just be a bad heat treat, and you could always send it my way, and I could do a full reprofile on it, and maybe steepen the edge up and do it a convex. A convex edge might prevent some chipping What's my opinion on 6 CTS XHP? I'm not a fan. I had a Spyderco native Knife Center exclusive. I buy most things from Knife Center, to tell you guys the truth, if you want to know the reason. And the reason why is I like Blade HQ. They're more of a flashy website, but Knife Center typically has better deals, and you can get rewards points that I can't seem to figure out. People tell me, well, I think Blade Center does, or Blade HQ does. It's like, Knife Center definitely has rewards points. But I had gotten a native in XHP, back to where I was going with this, from Knife Center. It was a Knife Center exclusive, and it was an XHP, and I just was never happy with the edge it took. It always felt gritty. And I've seen XHP done really well, but Spyderco's wasn't. It's hit or miss. XHP is one of those ones that are really heat treat finicky. So there are some steels that are really finicky about heat treat. And if you don't get the heat treat just right, you're pretty well screwed. Cold Steel's XHP was good. I liked it. But then again, I've never seen Cold Steel have a bad heat treat. That's one of the things I was going to say. Like, you have companies that you know are iffy at best when it comes to their heat treat and quality assurance. Never have I ever had a knife that came from Cold Steel that the heat treat was not just perfect. I mean, honestly, it's the things that I always had problems with Cold Steel was, where's it at? I can show you exactly what I'm talking about. I'm still playing around with this one. Ooh, that's not at all level. What's up, Zach? If you look at the, here, we'll flip it. So if you look at the heel here on this, you can see how, this is what always irritated me about Cold Steel, was how much work you had to do to repair their factory edge there and there. You can see how that was horribly misground. I think I finally got most of the forward. No, there's still some, but then you can see here, like up here, that angle is inconsistent at best, and it has nothing to do with my edge. It has to do with the grind of the knife. That was always my issue with Cold Steel, was just the QA. Like, if I ran a company and this knife came across, this would not, well, so do other companies. Nick, other companies sharpen mass. You know, every company that makes a bunch of knives doesn't. We Knife Company does tons of knives, and I've only ever had 2 knives that I've ever seen there was an issue with the edge or the grind. And honestly, in all the knives I've ever seen, I can think of 2. Pretty much every Cold Steel I've ever gotten immediately has to go on a stone to rectify edge issues. Even smaller companies like Artisan that are pumping out more knives at a really cheap price, their edges are coming out. Well, let's put it this way. This is one of the prototypes that came out before anyone could even buy one of these knives. This still has the factory edge on it, and it's still really a good edge. So that, I do not care whether it's mass, they're doing sharpening in mass. Here's another one of the Sea Snakes that has a really, really good edge on it. Yeah, they came with, like, some people are like, oh, the edge is inconsistent. There may be some minor issues with it, some widening and everything, but I've never seen one that came dull. Every one of these that I ever saw have had perfect edges. I've had 5 of these total that were mine, that were the production ones. And every one of those production prototypes, production samples, any of the ones I ever saw anybody purchased, all of them came out great. So, you know, those are companies that are making a lot of knives. Puma, the edge that came on this. Puma's another company that makes a lot of knives. Puma, Boker. This is an old. This is new old stock. This is a fairly old knife. This is a 1980s Puma Bowie, but I mean, any of the Pumas I've seen come with pretty good edges. I'm gonna have to open that garage door the rest of the way up. There's just no air moving in here, and I'm sweating, and I don't want to sweat. From the only issue I think is the tips being a little off, and it's a minor issue. Yeah, a lot of times it doesn't. It's not an issue, guys. I don't know if you've noticed. I just got. I'm gonna ask you guys. What do you think? Do you guys like the cordless USB mic? Because I just got the replacement in. This is a brand new one. I haven't charged it or anything yet. It just came in. The last few videos, especially you guys that are members. The last few videos, I filmed them without any microphone, but I'm filming in the garage. Are you having any issues with audio? I know that like when I move around, it sounds weird, and I'm trying to eliminate that with the microphone. So what do you guys think? I know that some people complained that the microphone sounded harsh and things like that, but I'm trying not to move around as much to keep the audio the same. Like, I mean, I don't use them for live feeds because the front-facing cameras, there's a microphone right there in the front of the camera or in the front of the phone, so it's not an issue. So just out of curiosity. Now, you guys didn't. I did. I had an issue with the sound quality. I have to open this. It's hot. See, I have it part way to try and just let air in, but. Whew. Oh yeah, it's definitely got more air coming, but then it gets too bright. You know what I mean? Almost like I'm washed out. But I mean, who cares? You guys didn't come to take a look at me, really. Whew. Gotta turn those off now. It's hot today. It is hot today, even though it is significantly cooler at this new residence than it was at the old residence. It is hot today. But the nice thing is,
I forgot to tell you, I asked Zoe about the photo wall thing, like how she printed them out. She printed them out at CVS, but she did it online.
She did it online?
Yeah.
Okay, well, tell her to give you the information.
It's like on their website.
Okay, we'll get it figured out.
Yeah.
Any new knives coming out soon? I don't know. I've been trying to get a knife design released. I'm kind of frustrated. I've got a couple people that I need to talk to. Get the hell out of here. That's the only problem. I open it up and then I get flies in here. Lots and lots of flies. See how much darker that looks now, even though that there's more light? So today, it's already 72 degrees today. It's 73 right now. Yesterday it was like 66 until like, what was that? Good morning. It's a drop point sea snake. Okay, there will be no drop point sea snake. That will be a different version. See, each model has its own name. Right? I'm not like Brian Nadeau. He's like, well, you should just make different ones, just call it all the same. I was like, I don't like doing that. So there's a sea snake, and then there's a habu. Sea snake, obviously, ocean, sea, right? Well, typically maritime blades are sheep's foot Wharncliffe style. Where's it at? I have the prototype of the habu, which is a drop point. So typically hunters are on land, drop point, habu. Habu is a Japanese snake from southern Japan that's on land. Sea snake, land snake, habu. That's basically what we're at. And I mean, you can see, for all intents and purposes, they're the same knife, they're the same size. It's just the first prototype Dropkick Nico. So there's going to be a habu. I'm going to reach out to someone. I don't know how. I'm kind of curious how that's going to play out. I'm going to reach out to someone that I don't know. I'm nervous about doing it. I'm friends with them, but I'm nervous about doing it. I have someone that I could reach out to see if I could get it into production. And I'm sending an email to Anthony Marfione today. Tony. I have Tony's email address. I was told to contact I was told to contact Tony directly about a knife design. So that's what I'm doing. And why does it seem like I'm zoomed in? Because I was zoomed in. That's why it felt weird. I did not oil my beard today. But I shot a video yesterday afternoon. Probably gonna try and shoot a video tomorrow. I have to make a knife. Your friend who is having a pro MMA fight. What was the person you told you'd sharpen his sword? I told him if he won the UFC championship, I would sharpen his sword. But I'm not looking forward to that. That's the dude. That's the same dude. So I told him I didn't tell him if he made it to the UFC. I said if he became the UFC champion. He's already had fights in Bellator. He had a fight scheduled in the UFC, but it got cannexed. It was supposed to be in Canada, and that whole card got canceled. And then he had a pretty bad injury. After that, he had a fight, just to pay bills. He had to take a fight, and it wasn't a UFC match. And he had a pretty bad injury and recovered. He's back full. That kid knocked people out. He's like a first round finisher. He has not had too many fights that go the distance. I think he had one that went the distance. The Cold Steel swords were horrible. My swords are all. I have one that is. So I had someone who's like, that's not a true Japanese sword. It blade's too wide. And I was like, I know. I had it made that way. I wanted that style. Yes, he does. He can go. Like, he fights. He trains to fight. 5 rounds. And I think actually he said he started training to fight 8 rounds. Like, he'd be able to go the distance up to 8 rounds. But, UFC and MMA, usually it's only 3 rounds. So he's like, he likes to double that. Because like a 5-round UFC title fight, you got to have that gas tank, but he trains to fight like extended periods. So, guys, you wanna know how old I am? I was thinking about this morning when I was making this pot of coffee, right before I started the live feed. Guys, I'm old enough that I remember when you would buy a can of coffee, it came with a scoop in it. Like, you didn't have to, like, now a coffee pot comes with a scoop and you have to keep it. And I'm like, why? I mean, I'm old enough. I remember when you bought a can of Folgers coffee, there was a little scoop in it. Do you guys remember that? Like the ones that are in protein powder now? Do you guys remember that? I do. I absolutely remember that. So it's just one of those things. Like, I know that the majority of you guys that follow this channel are significantly younger than me. I'm almost 47, and I was thinking about it. I was like, it's like I was taking the scoop out of the old can and putting it in a new can this morning. That's why it's so good. This brand new, just opened it can of coffee. And I was like, wait a second. I remember when I was a kid, we had tons of those. They got thrown away with the can. And I remember when coffee tasted way, way different. Like, I like the Kirkland's brand, but like, I remember when my dad would make coffee. Guys, now that I thought about that, before I forget, I gotta show you guys something. And I should have done this. I meant to do this. Every time I forget to do it. But Sam, my dad would make coffee. He used a percolator, and it was delicious. Payphones were the norm. Die Hard was both. I don't remember Oh, you're talking payphones. Yeah, payphones on the street. I saw a payphone up at Knott's Berry Farm, and it worked. Guys, so when I was Spider G, when I was a kid, my dad and I, we would go camping all the time. And my dad had a big, huge tripod over a fire pit in the yard. In the summer, he would cook out there because we didn't have air conditioning. And if you guys have been in the foothills of the Allegheny Mountains, summers there can be stiflingly humid, tropical kind of hot. And just to even the thought of cooking anything in the house was just, it would make you almost sick to your stomach about thinking that mom was going to turn on an oven or something. And so my dad would cook roasts and things like that outside in a Dutch oven over an open fire. And we would have coffee that he made over that. And it had that smoked flavor. Guys, another gift from a YouTube subscriber that has a ton of followers. He's one of those guys, he hides his subscription, so even if you looked, you wouldn't know he's a subscriber. But there's a guy that sent me this because I was talking about cooking. He said, hey, let me send you this. It's the same person that sent me, because these go hand in hand, the sous vide heater. So, pretty good number of subscribers on that guy's platform, and he is a cook. And it's not Guga. It's not Guga. I wish it was. I wish Guga followed me. Did you guys see the video that I used Jelly Marble Runs as a background? Did you guys notice that he commented? So, yeah, I was getting ready to say, like, I was gonna say I have some people that are from like North Carolina and South Carolina and Georgia and things like that follow me. And it's like that up in the Alleghenies. It is really, really. No, I am not going to load anything but wood in that. As a matter of fact, I have not partaken in any of the substances you may be referring to that we're not going to mention on this platform because it'll demonetize me. But I have not lately. I like the first two, maybe the third one. The first two were good. The third one was okay. Wait, was the second one when he was in New York at the second one was at the airport. So the first and third I really liked. The second one was not so great. I thought they tried a little too hard with that one. They tried to capitalize too soon on that one. It depends on where you're at now. If you're in certain areas of Ohio, it's nice and cool. Because you get a lot of breeze. Where I live is down in a valley in the foothills of the Allegheny Mountains, and there's no wind. Like if you go up to my grandparents' house, that's up on a big ridge. It's on. In Japan, they would call it a mountain. Like, no joke. If I was in Sasebo, I was like, this is just a hill. Like, oh, that's Mount whatever. I was like, that's not a mountain. That's a hill. Like, if you can walk up it or drive to the top, I really don't consider it a mountain. Like, so at any rate, up on the hill where my grandparents lived, it'd be hot, but you'd have a breeze. And that's why we would go up there so often, because it was nice. There just wasn't a lot of shade. Well, where we lived, we had a lot of shade because we had a great big maple tree in the front and a maple tree in the back, and the house got shade, but there was no wind, and it was just stifling. And that's why, like I said, my dad would cook over an open fire outside, because we cut wood all year for firewood, and so to burn a little bit of it just to cook was fine. And my dad was an amazing outdoor primitive style cook. And well, Columbus, if you can ask your mother, Columbus, everything is 2 hours from Columbus. Everything in the state. Where are you from Columbus? I was like, why don't you ask me like where I'm at from Cincinnati? Because that'll give you a better good. Where are you at from Columbus? Like, if I'm in Columbus, where are you at? I'm 2 hours southeast. But if you're in Cleveland, you're 2 hours northeast. If you're Toledo, you're 2 hours northwest. If you're in Cincinnati, you're 2 hours southwest. You know, it's never a good metric when you're like, oh, I live in Columbus. Where are you from there? And I was like, if you live in Columbus, you know that everything except like Newark and some of the areas just outside of Columbus, like Heath and places like that, are everything else. The outliers are all like 2 hours away. Kirkland Brown Coffee is the preferred because it's, I mean, for the bang for the buck. Somebody asked about coffee. I know. I was going to go in and show you. But I like some foo stuff every once. So I'm not too country. Like I'm still. I told my sister I was like I talk country, I act country, I walk country, still fight country. Like you don't want to get in a fight with me, I fight country. It's not going to be a fair fight. It's going to be ugly because who fights fair? The loser. I'm gonna bite off a nose, an ear, an eye, a finger. I can get a thumb in. I'm gonna gouge out an eye, pop a testicle. I don't care. I fight country, dirty. But I'm definitely not a country boy anymore because I realized that I can't live like I did before. Case in point, we took my wife to Japan, and she's like, no, it wasn't my wife. It was a girlfriend that I had. Went to Japan with me. She's like, well, where can we go? And I was like, we can't go anywhere. I don't have a car. She's like, we have to wait till my mom gets home. And she's like, well, we can't just take a bus. And I was like, there ain't a fucking bus. We live like 30 miles from anything. It's 14 miles, and there's your gas station. So, but like I realized that I wasn't truly a country boy anymore. I have country leanings. But I like some nice stuff everywhere, and I have an espresso maker. And so if I'm making espresso, this is my favorite for making espresso. Or if I'm making cappuccinos require an extra cup. So what I usually make is a macchiato, which is you brew your espresso, you steam your milk, and then you pour your coffee into your milk, as opposed to a cappuccino, which is you make your coffee, you steam your milk, you pour your coffee into a cup, and then you pour your milk into the coffee. Now, I don't know why it's different, but they definitely taste different, and I prefer a macchiato. It's a different flavor. I don't know why it's different, but if you pour the milk into the coffee, it tastes different than pouring the coffee into the milk once it's been steamed. I don't know why. Don't ask me. I couldn't tell you. It's not that I've become civilized. I will agree. Tim Pool said this when he, not Tim Pool, Lydia, the girl that is on Tim Pool's podcast, said that the worst thing for this country, for people that are like if you want to fight against what's going on with social media and stuff like that, you're going to be inconvenienced. And convenience has been the biggest push to just keep your mouth shut and go along with what's going on, because if you don't, you run your mouth, then you get deplatformed, and it's things like that. And so it's a matter of like, if you want to disagree to political opinions, you're going to have to accept that you're going to be inconvenienced. It's just all there is to it. I'm old enough that I've realized I enjoy some convenience in my life. Like, I liked the fact that I can sit out here and watch TV in my garage. I can stream. I don't have to have cable TV. I can stream what I want when I want. It's a convenience, and I really, really like it. Now, could I live without it? Absolutely. Do I know how to survive off the... Would I be rusty at it? Yeah, probably a little. But can I still navigate with a compass and a map? Yeah. Do I still know how to make a fire without matches? Yeah. Do I know how to build a lean-to and survive in the woods? Absolutely. I lived in the woods until I would go out in the woods on a Thursday afternoon. If we had a 3-day weekend from school, I would go out in the woods on a Thursday night and not come back until Sunday dirty, and then still have to do schoolwork because I hadn't gotten anything. I lived in the woods. I loved being in the woods. I can go out with nothing and come back and have gained weight. I can't do it anymore. I can't draw a bow anymore, but I used to be able to hunt rabbits with a bow. And if you've ever tried to hit a moving target with a bow and arrow, you know how incredibly hard that is. So I don't want my daughter to have to live like I did. I grew up poor. One of the best things, I told my friend this, I was like, one of the best things that ever happened to me in my life was growing up poor as shit. Because it makes me appreciate the things I have more. Everything I own, I've worked for. Everything I own in this world, which at this point now, everything we have, I own. I have 0 payments on anything. I rent this house. I own both our cars. Everything in this house, nothing is on layaway. Nothing is on lease. I own the cars. I own everything we have in the house. I have like $2,000 of credit card debt only because I need that as a running line of credit. Because you gotta have a credit score. I got like an 8. I have like an 830 credit score. And it's because everything I have, I own. The only debt we ever incurred was buying that house. So it makes you appreciate stuff, because I learned real quick. I had friends that I would loan things to, and they would come back and they'd be fucked up. And I was like, bro, what's up with this? It's ruined. He's like, just get another one. It's not that big a deal. I was like, yeah, it's easy for you to say. It's not fucking yours. That's mine. I had to pay for it. God, just get another one. How about you get another one, motherfucker? You broke it. And people were just baffled by that. Like, what do you mean? You just get another one? I broke it. So what? I'm about to break something else right now. I don't loan people things anymore. There's very few people that I will loan things to. Matthew, I loan stuff to Matthew. If Matthew wants to borrow a knife, they're like, hey, let me try that out. Matt, I trust Matt. And as a matter of fact, I've got a bunch of Matt's knives here. I need to get through. I need to just take a day and shoot. I'm at an impasse with this contract. I reached out to everyone. It's really frustrating. I reached out to everyone I need to. I'm waiting on emails back. I have literally 8 days to complete this contract bid. And I don't have any of the information I need to do it. My wife's like, are you working today? I was like, I'm trying. I'm fucking trying. Physically, I can't go back to work at construction. I stopped loaning out tools years ago. Like Matt, I'll let Matt borrow tools. Matt's had, construction contract bid. Matt had my drill and my drill bits. And as a matter of fact, I think he still has a few items of my, I gave him a laser level just because I don't ever use it. But Matt has a few of my tools that I've just left at his house for months. We built a workbench in his shop, and I was like, just keep them here. You can use them. I went and got my drill bits because I needed them here at the house. And then I bought a couple of tools. He let me borrow his reciprocating saw, his Sawzall. Guys, I'm not gonna lie to you. These, I tried to stick with an American company and things like that for my power tools and everything. These Ryobi tools are amazing. I haven't even opened this box yet. This is 2 brand new batteries. They had a deal going where if you bought 2 batteries, you got a free tool. I bought a set and bought a circular saw, and then went back and I was like, you know what? Because the promotion was ending. And I was like, you know what? My drill is about ruined, and I need a good, powerful hammer drill. And I bought a hammer drill and 2 batteries. So for $200, I got a circular saw, 2 batteries, and a hammer drill and 2 batteries. And the fact is, these batteries will fit any of the other Ryobi tools. I need to open those up and get them charged. I can't leave those sit forever in that box like them. I was like, well, just get those 2 out. And then I was like, nah, I need to get them all out and get them charged and everything. But like I said, I used this pretty much nonstop for like 2 weeks. We cut stuff up, we made shelves. I cut like all this wood that you see here was all cut up for shelving and stuff. And this here, and we're still making some shelves and stuff, but I cut that all up with that. And the battery was still at like half. And stuff like that. And then like, I never would have thought, like, check your charge level on your battery. They're great. As a matter of fact, I used the drill and a friend of mine dropped off a lens repair kit for headlights, and I refinished the wife's headlights completely. Like they look brand new. See, here's the thing. I have an orbital sander. It's right there. I didn't see the need. I have a tool shelf. I didn't see the need to get one when I needed to drill more. I definitely needed a new drill. My old Craftsman is still here, but it won't hold a charge. Like if you use it, you've got like maybe 20 minutes that you can use that thing because the battery won't hold a charge. And I ordered a replacement battery. I was like, I don't need another drill. I already have a nice little Craftsman drill that I've had. Jesus, my wife got that for me for Christmas 10, 11 years ago. No, probably 8 or 9 years ago. I've had that drill for 8 or 9 years. And it was a good drill. It worked. I never had a problem with it. And I probably got more use out of the tool than anything I've ever owned. My wife's got it for me. And I tried to get a replacement battery. And they don't make that model anymore. So I found the battery number and I brought it and it didn't fit. There was something different about the connectors on the battery replacement battery I got. And so that drill's pretty much shot. I can still use it. Like I use it as a screwdriver. But you got to charge it every time you want to use it. Let's see, where's that? Let's see if it even. That's all it's got in it. That's it. And that's one of them big die-hard batteries. But I tried to get a replacement and it didn't fit. Something about this was different. I'm back. Switched everything to battery. There's some stuff that I wouldn't want to try about. I don't know. I don't watch Wrangler Star that often. I do sometimes. I watch Wrangler Star occasionally. He had shifted the way his content was. I like the off the grid ranch style videos he was doing, and he got. And I don't care if somebody's religious. I'm fairly religious. I try not to put that out there for you guys. Like I know a lot of people don't like that, so I keep it to myself. My religion is between me and God, not between me and you. But he had started doing something. But I watched one the other day where he was making a bench, and he had a Makita high torque hammer drill that he was using to mortise and tenon logs. And I was like, wow, that is a powerful drill for him to be able to do a mortise and tenon with a cordless drill. I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive. So I guess, I mean, a lot of the used to be cordless drills and stuff were just something you had if you just needed a quick job because they just didn't have any power. That hammer drill that I got, that Ryobi hammer drill, holy crap, that thing is powerful. And I was like, man, it's the definite change in the stuff that you can purchase now. Babe, that coffee's fresh. The wife just got up. So on top of everything else that happened in Florida, like I said, I apologized when we had the live feed the other day, and somebody mentioned something about hurricane, and I was like, well, hurricanes are a local event. I didn't even think about it because I try not to watch news; it just pisses me off. So I didn't even pick up on it, and then I got a notification like after the live feed that that hurricane was hitting Florida, and I was like, now I feel bad. So I went back and I shot a quick video, thoughts and prayers for all of you guys that live in Florida, and hopefully everything went okay. But I had been following the story about the condo collapse, the condo building, the apartment building that collapsed in Surf City, Florida, and I was like, crap, and I was like, they're having to do search and rescue operations on a collapsed building in a hurricane. That can't be there can be no good. There's no good end result for that. So I'd like to move to Florida. It just seems like life is so much better in Florida. Doesn't it? Like everybody's like, these things that are, I was like, man, you know what? I just, like, if you want to live somewhere you can just be left the fuck alone. Florida seems like, Florida and Texas. It's like when I needed stainless steel screws and hardware. My grandfather had tons from retired from. You know, I was talking with a guy, I was texting with a guy this morning, and he's an older guy, and he has an electronics shop. And we were talking about the switch from analog to digital, analog to digital with TVs. And he's like, remember when you buy a tube type TV? It's like, it was like half your life. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I remember my parents bought an old black and white TV when I was a kid, and we still had it when I was in my teens. My grandfather had an old TV that was older than me when I graduated high school, black and white TV, tube type. And then they made this switch from analog signal to digital later. And they did that switch from analog to digital, and he's like, well, that was when he told me, he was texting me, he was like, that's when I realized that the planned obsolescence. He's like, if you've got a refrigerator, they're not going to change electricity, they're not going to change the coolant. And so these old refrigerators, my grandparents had a refrigerator that they had for 30 or 40 years that still would just freeze stuff. Like, it was a great refrigerator. And they just replaced coolant in it. They had a guy that would come out and just do a coolant recharge on it, and he worked on the compressors, and it would cost them like $30 to fix this refrigerator. And then they bought a refrigerator later, and it lasted like 10 years. So when they switched, he was like, that was his first real experience with planned obsolescence, because you can't make those old tube type RCT, you know, the old style TVs. You can't make them digital. You just couldn't. The signal's different. They wouldn't work. And he goes, he's like, that was the first experience that he had with planned obsolescence. And he does electrical work and things like that, and runs an electronics shop. And he goes, and then he's like, TVs used to last you. Like, if you were in your 40s and you bought a TV, a CRT TV, there's a good chance that TV was going to last you the rest of your fucking life. This TV that's in my garage isn't even 10 years old, and there's things wrong with it, and it's probably going to have to be replaced. The screen is burning out. It's got light spots on it where the color contrast and the light is not the same, and you can see it's got burn-in lines on it. And I was like, I didn't have that on my other TVs. He and I were talking about that, and that was his first, because like I said, electronics, that was his first real experience with the government taking a hand in allowing companies planned obsolescence. He was 100% like, I don't know, I sound like a conspiracy theorist when he typed it, because I talked to him on the phone, and that's how he sounds. And he's like, may sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I'm pretty sure the government was helping them plan that shit. And I was like, that's their plan. They make it so that you have to purchase something new all the time. We had a CRT TV that lasted from the time I was 5 years old until I was still they were still using that old Magnavox floor model TV when I came home on leave with my girlfriend before I met my wife. So not too long before I met my wife, she and I, that girl and I didn't have a great relationship, and then I met my wife. So I had it for at least 24, 25 years. I had a TV that the wife and I bought for an upstairs TV in the bedroom, because I had a big TV downstairs, but my wife was like, I don't always want to watch what you want to watch. And so we had a VCR and a PlayStation attached to the TV up in the bedroom. It was a small little Victor, which is, I think that's JVC. I think it's JVC here in the States. It's called Victor overseas, or if I got that backwards. I don't remember, but it was a nice CRT with a flat screen, and I played games up there in the bedroom. That's what it was, RCA. So it was a Victor. I don't remember. At any rate, that thing I got rid of it. Like, we just didn't have any place to put it. It worked till we just recently. So we're talking, the wife and I have been married for 19 years. I had that TV for almost 20 years, and it worked fine. It was great. Nice, clear, crisp, but you couldn't pick up anything on it. You could only attach a VCR or a DVD player or something to it, because it simply was that. It was the the conversion to digital. Now I'm not gonna lie, I love the fact that I can have a TV this large on a wall. Can you imagine? You remember the old rear projection? And it's sticking off because of the mount. I got one of those multi-angled mounts. You can pull it out, you can tip it down, you can turn it right and left. Because it just depends on who's here and what we're doing. And like the daughter and I watch movies in here in the garage. Have you guys seen me post up those pictures? Talking about that? Like the kid and I doing that? I've noticed that a lot of times these live seeds wind up not being knife stuff. Like run the. You guys run the dialogue here. Like the questions you guys ask usually set up the. Imagine being able to pick up a 40-inch TV. Well, and I, like I said, there's a couple people told me. John Grimsmo was one of them. There was a couple people that told me, like, if you make your work area as comfortable as possible, you're going to spend more time there. And what I do need to do is I have got to find a new cushion for this stool because it hurts my ass. I'm not gonna lie, it wrecked him, damn near killed him. To make it more comfortable because I find that I'm like, man, it's uncomfortable. I need to get a better seat here, like an actual work seat. But I find myself tinkering with things here, messing with things and thinking up video ideas. I actually set my laptop up here and then set my laptop up when I'm doing the emails, which is what I'm gonna do as soon as we get done here. I have not gotten any email notifications. I gotta send out some more. If you never moved at all, we had an old Magnavox floor unit with a great big wood box around it. Didn't even have a remote. You had to get up and change the channel. I was changing the channel for my father in my 20s. I was home on leave, and he's like, "Hey, boy, go change that to channel 9." And we only had, growing up, we only had, technically we had, let me see. You had the PBS channel, which is channel 12. You had channel 9, which was NBC out of Wheeling. You had channel 8, which was CBS out of Wheeling. Channel 7 was also another CBS out of Wheeling. Channel 5, which was ABC. No, I'm sorry. Channel 8 was out of Cleveland, and you got these on the antenna, and that's where we watched Big Chuck and Little John. Channel 5 was ABC out of somewhere else. Channel 3 was another NBC, and then if you were lucky, you caught Channel 11 out of Zanesville, which was another NBC. So you only basically had 3 channels. The programming was all the same. It was NBC, CBS, ABC, PBS. And then Nemo cable came in, and they added some additional channels on the upper band, which was basically, they just had a big antenna and they just ran it down a cable to our town. And that's when we started getting sci-fi. I was probably about 15, Sci-Fi Channel and some other things that you could get, but you basically had, but the thing was, like, the thing that irritated us was, but then you couldn't get, like, their signal that we were picking up was kind of screwy, and it was hard to get antennas, and you couldn't pick up channel 8, which was the one out of Cleveland, which had a show called Big Chuck and Little John. If you guys ever get a chance, go look up Big Chuck and Little John, their skits that they used to do. You don't have to watch, but they always would play like stupid B-rate movies, and they had these little skits before and after commercials that they would do, and then they would talk about stuff like, yeah, we're this far into the movie, and they'd do an intermission and they'd run skits and things like that. And their skits were hilarious. It was a great, great show. How easy it was to steal cable back in the day? No, because I didn't know anybody that had it. Hey, it was in Cleveland. Big Chuck and Little Lil John, and just type that in and look up their skits. And they were hilarious. It might have been Channel 5, but I'm pretty sure it was Channel 8. It was great. They were hilarious. And like I said, they ran these silly B-rate movies like Killdozer and Shockwaves. And I actually own Shockwaves on Amazon because it's one of them crappy B-rate horror movies that they'd always show. Killdozer is actually on. Yeah, this was significantly longer before the Jerky Boys. Killdozer is a movie that you should watch, and it's on YouTube because it's free public domain. The whole movie is on YouTube, ad free if I remember right, and it's a weird. I think it was a made for TV movie that they made an extended version of that was a full length release, and Big Chuck and Little John would play that several times a year. What else? Doc Savage. They'd play Doc Savage. That's another weird B-rate adventure movie. But they played all kinds of weird movies. Shockwaves, the old Grindhouse horror movies, the Jack Palance Dracula movie. They always played all kinds of weird horror adventure. They played the old Invisible Man, the Bride of Frankenstein, Frankenstein's daughter. Oh, oh my. Zach, that sounds horrible. I'm only 24, but I know the Big Chuck and Little John about the certain ethnic movie, right? They're hilarious. They are hilarious. Because you couldn't, like, at that point, it was already unacceptable. They were hilarious, but it was already unacceptable to make the Polish jokes, which were funny. And I've got a buddy named Jan. He's from Poland, born and raised in Poland. And he'd be the first one to tell you, he's like, that's it's accurate. And I love the guy, and he's not dumb. He's a really smart guy, but I would watch him do things, and I was like, you know what, you're right. Those Polish jokes we used to tell in school, they're based on fact, aren't they? He goes, yeah. Like I said, you're going to hurt yourself. You're about to do something stupid. I missed that dude. He transferred. He was a first class petty officer, and they transferred back east, and I haven't talked to him in years. I don't even have his phone number anymore. His son and my daughter were really good friends. Johnny. So, well, guys, I'm about to get off of here. There's only like 6 people here. If you haven't dropped a like, do it on your way out. I love you guys. It's been fun hanging out. It's close enough to an hour. I've got other stuff I need to do. So I will talk to you all later. Take it easy. Have fun. We'll do this again. I'll see you guys. Promise. We'll do it again soon. Later.